Vibe. Welcome to this space and thank you for kicking it on the couch with me, Coach Esha. This is ChatBack, where I am sharing news from neighbors around the net just doing great things. And today I have the pleasure of kicking it with the local plug's very own Magic Baby. So Magic is, if you don't know, you about to get to know. He is host of the local plug, and he is also a serial entrepreneur. So I'm going to let him get into his good news for the day, but we want to make sure that you are tapping in with Magic on the local plug on Oak 93.5 FM, and it is on Mixcloud every Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. If you are not local, don't worry about it, okay? Just get Mixcloud, go ahead and tap in on Thursdays with Magic at the local plug, and you can follow him on Instagram. If you are not on Instagram, then where else can they catch you on
They,
your social?
they can find me on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on it all. Twitter. What is it called? X now.
Man, listen, I don't even.
We're on it all. We're everywhere. Every platform. You can type in El Plugga for the most part. ELPLUGA, and we should pop up. That's our Facebook handle for sure. El Plugga. But, yeah.
All right, and you can catch all the information in the description box below. So have no fear. Coach Isha is here. All right. So hello, Magic, and thank you for joining me on Chatback. It's our first episode officially. Woot woot.
Number one. Number one.
Yeah, that's right. You better get
Number one.
excited.
Oh, number one.
So Chatback is again a space where I'm celebrating good news of our guests. And this is a chance for me to hold space and let you highlight any news, any projects, or even share the spotlight with something else to honor someone else. So, what do you want to share with the neighbors around the net? What's your good news for today?
Okay, so I have some good news. This good news is a little personal, but I've been working on a fast and I've set some goals for this year, and they seem to be falling through according to plan. One of those goals were to obtain more photography business.
Mm-hmm.
I already got 3 bookings, and for me, that is we going up. We going up.
Yes, Hercules, Hercules,
So
Hercules.
yeah, it's that in the journey of the fasting. For me,
Uh-huh.
that's my good news. I'm getting through that and it's making it happen.
Nice. That is amazing. So expand on the fast a little bit more. You don't have to get into all your personal details. I know we get into your business, but we're not going to get that deep into your business. But tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to go on a fast.
Well, fasting is something that I've always been somewhat familiar with growing up
Mhm.
around church and Christians and religion. But I never like seriously thought about doing it, even though I've been around it. And
Mhm.
what I've come to realize as I'm getting older is like you have to give up things to gain things. You got to get rid of some old stuff to make space for the new stuff. And fasting is one of the best ways to do that. And it's based off of my study. It's extremely healthy. People think it's not healthy, but it has a lot of health benefits, and it
Mhm.
also has a lot of mental benefits. It
Right.
teaches you a discipline, or it instills a discipline in you. And so for my reason for wanting to fast is I've been really doing some research on it. And I just want to put out there, since we're talking about it, for those of you that don't know, fasting is not just you're not eating anymore. I'm staying away from it. It could be whatever you want it to be. You can fast from social media. You can fast from screen time, which is actually one of my fasts, or
Mhm.
I don't know the right way to say it. One of the things I'm fasting from. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, um, that's pretty much my real reason for getting into it. I'm at a point in my life where I'm ready for some changes, and the
Mhm.
only way to make these changes happen is to give up some things. And I'm using a 90-day fast to
Nice.
purge.
That's dope. That is dope. And you are absolutely correct. I'm someone who also does fast kind of periodically. And I actually at some point started intermittent fasting like just naturally. So I will definitely co-sign on the fasting not just being from food. Of course, there are traditional ways of fasting and very religious aspects of fasting, and however you go about that is your business and nobody else's. But yes, there are many different ways to fast, many things you can fast from. And I do enjoy a good fast because, yeah, releasing to rise is a thing. And sometimes we don't really know how much outside kind of distractions influence the things that we consume or the behaviors that we have. And sometimes until you give those things up for a bit, you're like, oh wow, I got some
Clearly,
clarity coming through, or I got some ideas coming through, or suddenly my energy just feels like crazy good. Like you just never know. So you really don't have anything to lose, and it's totally a customizable thing. I know a lot of people I've talked to have kind of been fearful of fasting because of different things that they've heard. And I will always encourage you to like listen to your intuition and follow what fits for you. Don't try to, it's great to be inspired by other people's stories and, experiences, but definitely you got to do what works for you. So if you can't go 90 days without eating, or you got like medical conditions or, whatever the case may be, like don't try to push yourself right away. Maybe start with 3 days or 2 days or something like that. And then, build up to it because 90 days is a long time.
I,
Okay.
I, I want to touch on that. 'Cause you're absolutely right, and that was one of the challenges for me because I'm like, you said it. How I just interpret it is you said let your spirit guide you. That's how I took it. Let
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
spirit guide you, and that's where the 90 days came from. And I was kind of like, man, I do like 21 first, like 90 is crazy, bro. This is me talking to myself, and
Yeah.
yo, you gotta listen. You gotta be obedient to the spirit, yo.
Yeah.
It's for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the most important. I could, if I could give any kind of tip or pro tip, whatever you want to call it, Jim, when it comes to fasting, definitely, or anything, any important decision, especially pertaining to your wellness, be it physical, mental, whatever, definitely trust your intuition, listen to your intuition. And if you don't know what your intuition sounds like, let this be your call to action to get tapped in with it. Okay.
Happy with you.
There you go. There you go. Tapped in with you. Magic, thank you for sharing your good news with the neighbors today. And if you guys need any ideas or anything like that, if you've never fasted, please get on YouTube and just, browse around. Okay. Do your due diligence. We got Chat GPT now. So, get on in there.
You just act Siri, act Google.
Ask anybody, some Gemini, somebody, whatever, whatever you got going on, use what works for you. All right, lovers and friends. This is the part of the show where I give you a little something, something to think about as you go through your day, as you go through your week. And it's called Chat Back and Chew. And my goal is, yeah, you like it, right? But my goal is that my guest and myself will give you some gems, we'll drop some gems that are worth your while. So here is a sound bite for you to chew. Now, we all know that New Year's resolutions, they can be hard to stick to. I am a living testament of that, which is why I don't make them anymore. But February, in my opinion, is, I don't know, for me, I think that's when the magic really happens. You see what I did there? You see? February is where the magic happens for me. I think February is where you kind of get to that point where you stop making promises to yourself and you're actually ready to like do something about it. It's like the hype of the new year is dying down. People are slowly starting to fall off the gym wheel, and things are starting to look more like, okay, I feel in a space to take some action. And I don't know about you, but personally, the closer it gets to spring in North Carolina, the more I just feel ready to pop out. I don't know if it's just
I feel
being
like
in.
it's spring right now.
Yeah, for real, honestly. I went outside in a hoodie earlier and I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? I don't know what's going on. But don't let the excuses of this year rule you again. Like, don't let it take over again. Don't let it be another month before you pop out. Obviously, if you feel ready, but I'm talking to the people that know it's time. They know it's time for a change. You know it's time for a pivot. And maybe you've been sleeping on it. Maybe you've been hesitant, or maybe you've just been feeling like it's not the right time. It's the right time. Okay. This may be a time for a full reinvention for some people. Okay. February to me is like that. It's like when you boiling something on the stove and it's like getting those little bubbles and it's getting ready to start that rolling boil. But we ain't quite there yet, but it's starting. You can see the bubbles forming at the top. This is that time to really lock in and pop out for the spring. Now, speaking of reinventing, I want to give a shout out to the shift in the narrative that I've been seeing, especially during these times where there is a lot of stuff going on. Let's just say that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, a lot of stuff going on in the US, a lot of panic and things like that. And I just want to say now more than ever, if you are not locked in, if you have not been planning a pivot, this is definitely a call to action for you to do that. But lately, I've been seeing a lot of people be more vulnerable about a lot of things, but especially like mental health. And I wanted to take this time, again, with the things going on all around the world, but especially in the US, I want to take this time to say anybody out there who may be struggling with mental health or feel as though these are times where you may be feeling triggered, definitely reach out for help. Uh, Call your neighbor, tap your neighbor, anybody that you can and you feel safe with sharing those things with. But especially to Black men out there, there's a lot of self-empowerment in being vulnerable and a lot of reinventing that comes with that. So I want you to, Magic, drop some wisdom on how reinvention has been a game changer for you, whether
Um,
it's in your business or your personal life.
Well, I can say definitely in my personal life, to me, reinventing it's it's something that I feel like you should maybe constantly doing because you're constantly growing as a person. You're
Right.
constantly evolving. Um, if you're the same person you was 2 years, and I know some people like brag about it. I'm the same person I was. That's not necessarily a good thing, bro. Like there should be some growth there, some
Mhm.
evolution. Um, but for me, one way that I looked at reinventing myself was my hair. Prior to locking up, I had cornrows and box braids pretty much my whole life. And I moved down south. I always wanted dreads. I mean locks, but being in Boston at the time that I was in Boston, like nobody was really like. It was kind of like you trying to be Jamaican, like you know what I mean. Nobody really knew what was up at that time.
Yeah.
But I grew my hair out because I felt like I've been wearing that hair, and that was a part of my old identity. Now I'm here in a new environment, doing new things, and trying to better myself. So with that comes a new look, and
Right.
all of that was like me kind of reinventing myself. When I came down here, and I don't know if I'm going off track, but forgive me if I am.
Oh,
Uh,
you're fine.
when I came down here, I had that mentality of reinventing myself. So one of the
Mhm.
things that I was like real big on was surrounding myself around particular people. I felt
Mm.
like I already had a certain type of people that I grew up around and were a phone call away, but I wanted
Right.
to surround myself around scholars, if you will, people like really into the school and like the student government and things of that nature,
Yeah.
because I
Nice.
wanted to reinvent myself.
Mhm.
And I just think that's extremely important with everything. Even I can say with the local plugin, what we're doing, we've been doing it for about 2 years now, but I
Yeah.
recognize it's time to and I think sometimes people get that like reinvent, like it's not a bad thing. Reinvent
Mhm.
be upgrading what you already have, and I
Yep.
feel like
Yep.
that's all it really is. That's how you should look at it. You're upgrading what you already have, and that's what we're trying to do at the local plug and on a personal note.
Nice. I first of all, going back to a couple of things that you said, starting with the look, changing the look. I think that that is a concept that is slept on by some and sometimes overinflated by others. It is a very important aspect, I think, when you are talking about reinventing yourself or just kind of shifting into a new space, if you will. It's one of the, to me, I think it's one of the best ways to kind of fake it till you make it, so to speak, because a lot of it does. You instantly almost want to change the outside, and some people forget that there is a whole internal process too that goes with that. But changing stuff on the outside definitely does help. And I probably have changed my look so many times in a year. Like, and I know it's probably a lot more, I don't know, flexible for women to do,
Yeah,
just because of the industries and stuff like that. But it's nice to know that guys kind of go through that process too, because we don't often hear, fellas talk about that, not publicly anyways, and what that process looks like for them, and kind of what you're thinking and you're feeling as you're going through that. So I
I do
think that's
want I
really
do want to go a little bit more in on that because you're talking about the process, and I do want to put out there too that it's not always easy.
cool.
Speaking
Okay.
from myself, my experience, um, a lot of times you could be in your own way.
Hmm. Talk about it.
Be doubting yourself, and I'm still kind of going through that now. Even through all the evolutions and the reinventing of myself, I'm still kind of dealing with that because I'm stepping into a new me. And
Hmm.
it's like,
Yep.
it's a lot of doubts and things that I'm unsure about. But in talking about it right now and reflecting on it, it's always worked out for me. So I
Yeah.
think it'll
That's
work out for anybody else too.
That is beautiful, and it's refreshing to hear. With all of the content that's put out on platforms across the internet, it's refreshing to hear these things again coming from guys. I think that that's so important that you guys are having these conversations, whether it's on your own platforms or somebody else's, because it does, for one, for women, I think, gives us a peek at what you guys' process is like, and I think it could help in how we handle each other a whole lot. It does also give more of a accurate depiction of what you guys go through, because a lot of times we hear about being honest, like on chatback we're going to keep it one thou wow. A lot of times there's always women talking about what guys are feeling or what guys are thinking or
They just
all of
want
that.
to know.
Right. So it's nice to be able to hear it from fellas, the things that we actually really do want to know the answers to. But because we're not so we don't really know. We're just going based off of our own experiences with men. But thank you for sharing that. And I want to circle back also to where you were talking about surrounding yourself with scholars and how. Okay, first of all, I know that sometimes that can be sticky because you have your old circle of people and trying to integrate with new circles of people who may not be on the same type of time, how does that kind of work